With reports with Ms. Howard.
Yes, just one, sort of starts as a comment, which is that in the aftermath of the election last week, I know there's been a lot of discussion in the community about what that election is going to mean for people in our town. And Mayor, I want to commend you for working with our Director of Human Services and so many community partners. I think it was, I don't want to miss anybody, but I think it was the library, the schools, the university, the Clergy Association to have High Tops and the seminary, thank you, to have a meeting last Thursday at which people could sort of express their feelings about the election, and but we know that the issues, that there's still a lot of strong feelings in the community. I've heard about a lot of concern and fear among school children about what the impact could be of the election, and I know that School Superintendent Cochran has been working with teachers and staff to make sure that school remains a safe place for all students and to help students understand what the election means. And everybody on council knows, but I sort of want to share this with the public, that I think it behooves us to make a statement to continue on what you started last week. As you look around the country, a number of mayors and elected bodies have issued statements reaffirming our commitment to inclusion and justice and standing with all members of our community. Some of whom may be very, very worried about how things may change and may impact them. So I had sent around and gave everybody a copy of a statement that I'm hoping we can issue tomorrow. Another thing that's interesting is I've heard from a number of people in the community who've asked, how can we help? I think some people are saying, I want to get more engaged and I want to help send the message that we are a welcoming community. And so I think also we want to be sending the word out not only that about the values we stand for, but also that there are ways for people in the community to get more involved. And of course there are existing ways like our boards and commissions, but I think there are also ways to work with vulnerable populations in the town who may have greater needs now. So I think I would urge us as a body to make a strong statement and to continue to stand against intolerance and to send that message. So I'm just sort of putting that out there, that I think hopefully we'll put that statement out tomorrow.
Great, thank you. Ms. Krumler, any reports?
Yes. I wanted to report from the public, the Public Transit Committee. First of all, to let you know that we used to have a Public Transit Integration Committee, which was an ad hoc committee, as well as the Public Transit Committee, but we have consolidated those two committees into one. That's one little news. And the other is that one of the things that the Transit Integration Committee did was come up with a proposal to create, to address the problem of transit integration, of all the different transit options we have in Princeton, and how to make it easier for people to use that transit and also to promote that transit. And so they created a proposal, and the trust fund, the university's trust fund, I forget what that committee's called. The Transit Trust Fund has approved funding for a program called Go Princeton, and it's going to be a communications program to promote all the different non-car transit options in the town. And it's one of the things that I'm looking forward to is a brochure and a web page that has all the different public transit options and information about the bike share, for instance, and things like that are going to be all in one place. So that's going to start in January. Deanna, do you have anything else about that?
Thank you. Mr. Miller, any reports?
Yes, the team working on the RFP for the solar array on top of the top deck of the Spring Street garage met today, reviewed the planning that has gone into the preparation of the request for proposals, had a good discussion about some of the evaluation criteria, and there was one technical issue raised in the meeting that is going to require that we get access to the construction drawings for the garage itself in order to clarify it. Assuming that issue can be clarified quickly, we expect that the RFP will be reviewed and completed, ready for release mid-December.
Great, thank you. Mr. Liverman?
Not really any report. Just want to report, we've been meeting the Youth Commission, Advisory Commission. We've been having meetings, and I mentioned before that we're trying to find a direction, basically, for the youth to move on, a direction to go. So what we've done was we released a survey, an electronic survey. I shouldn't say we, they did. I can't release any survey. The youth have released a survey. And the areas of concern on the survey that they released from the students, which I thought was very interesting, one area would be they're asking the students in regard to mental health, physical well-being, community building, and information in regard to low-income students, things they may need, and also police awareness. So they release questions in regard to the various schools in the area, and they're receiving feedback throughout the month, and they'll compile a small report where the youth are with those issues. So we're looking forward to moving ahead to address some of these things head-on and work with the community on whatever else that we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Butler, any reports?
What do you think they meant by police awareness, and do you want to announce our police open house?
Oh, yes, we have a police open house on Saturday between, I believe it's 8 and 10? 8 and 10 in the morning.
It's for early risers.
For early risers, come to the police station, 4 Witherspoon Street here, and I guess you'll have refreshments and a tour. And if you get stuck in the cell for 30 minutes, you can call home. No, you'll be fine. But we'd like for everyone to attend. Police awareness is that some of the youth recognize and have relationships with various officers, and other ones have never met a police officer in their entire life. And they felt that with everything going on, that they should at least meet a police officer. So we've been doing more things with the community policing and so forth. They get the police involved more and more with youth, and this is one area that they want to see that they can tackle. It can be like an open house with the police and the kids. Yeah.
Set their alarm. Come on in.
Yeah.
You're finished?
I'm done.
Yep. Well, I'm sorry Mr. Newland hopped out of here, because this afternoon we had yet another Mary Moss Park subcommittee meeting, and we have nearly the final schematic from our consultant, and so we were going over all of our choices for various materials, etc. And the feedback had gotten to us before this afternoon and before our meeting about the third entrance. This isn't a new issue that he's raised at all, but we did discuss it again, and we have discussed it with our consultant. And the reality is that saying that it's dangerous doesn't make it so. And the fact is that the side entrances, and I think, Jenny, you probably know this, we all know this, the side entrances that open into mid-block, both on Lytle and on John Street, are actually more dangerous than the third entrance at the corner, because there are no sidewalks, because there are parked cars. And if children were somehow to unlock the gate and dash out of our darling park madly into the street, the fact is they would be dashing out in between parked cars in a mid-block, and that's much more dangerous. The third entrance actually puts people out onto a crosswalk. We have a big effort underway, a public safety effort underway to move people to the crosswalk. I don't know if you want to talk about that at all, Deanna, but this third entrance actually complies with that effort to get people to use the crosswalk, where the side entrances would encourage mid-block crossing, which we don't want. And so, history aside, the fact is, I think all of us would put safety ahead of that, and that's what that's what our consultant suggests. That's what Deanna knows to be true from her work on street safety. So it's not that we haven't heard this. We've listened. We know of this. But I also want to say that our concept design has been approved by the subcommittee, by the Rec Commission. It was approved here by this body. It was approved by the planning board, and we moved forward spending a lot of our money with our consultant on the basis of that plan being approved. And if at this point we want to go back and somehow abandon that, I mean, we'd be setting quite the precedent, I think, but it would also mean we'd be back to the drawing board with the consultant, and we would need approval to basically restart that $90,000 I mean, we'd need another new contract. We're almost finished. And, you know, nothing's more important than children's safety, but what he's saying just simply isn't correct. And so it would also mean that there would be no park next summer. I mean, we're about, Deanna, you can speak to that, we're about to tear out some of the existing framework, the pool, the housing authority shed, house. You know, we're going to protect the old playground, the existing playground, but the rest of it's going to be gone. So I think the plan was to come for rec to bring the Mary Moss Park sort of last concept to the council again, you know, just for a discussion. I don't think it really is approval, but we would then have the bid documents ready. So there would be no park next summer. We can do it, but those are the options. And, you know, Deanna, I don't know, did you talk to Charlie with Ben, or did you hear that conversation? It's not that we haven't heard them. We just don't agree. So.
Yeah. Thank you. I think that someone mentioned that there could be gates.
There is a gate.
I mean, unlocked.
That we could just lock it? I mean,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We don't want to lock it. We don't think it's the safest way
I understand.
for the entrance to the park. There is a gate.
But, I mean, right, it seems like it's a flexible, we can put it in, and if is the reason that people don't want it because they don't want people using it, or is it because...
I think what I heard at the meeting was that there was a concern about the number. I heard I think it was less the location of it than the fact that if you're managing 2 little kids and even 1 little kid who's rambunctious, but let's just say it's 2 little kids, I mean, the park is 4 toddlers, that if there's 3 ways for them to get out, it's just more difficult to manage as a caregiver than if there's 2 entrances. So I think that's, I mean, you were there too. That's what I was hearing from the meeting, that was
Yes.
part of the concern.
Well, it's much easier to get rid of either the entrance on John or on Lytle, so let us know, because those are easy to get rid of.
Yeah, I agree that
We wouldn't have to redesign the park to get rid of one of those entrances. So if it's the number, let us know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, and this is what we mentioned at the meeting. I think that and I know that they've been talking. You guys have been meeting, and you guys have been meeting on and on and on, and we definitely appreciate the meetings. I know, but I think that there was a list of things, and we've boiled everything down to just basically one main item, I guess, and that's the entrance. And I know that for us, it's the safest. I know Deanna has mentioned that before. It's probably the safest. And maybe if we can explain somehow that why it's the safest route, and if we can make sure that we understand all the safety items that we're going to put up. I know we're speaking of raising the street, you know, a traffic calming item. If we can have some flashing lights or something there. I mean, there's ways that there's a way that maybe we can. Well, I'm just saying maybe there's a way that we could try to work it out so that works for both parties. I mean, I think that the community is just in their mind that if that gate's open and it's there and you have 3 places to exit, it's going to be very difficult for a parent or anyone to keep track. I mean,
This park is going to be so darling, children are never going to want to leave.
oh, that's beautiful. How about one of the revolving doors? You know the revolving doors you put on gun parks?
I
You go
imagine
in-
the gates will have a spring on them. They'll be like Harrison Street Park. I mean, you know,
That might be.
it'll be
Yeah,
fine.
that might be all right.
Trust me.
Were there any other reports? Ms. Butler? Did you have any other reports? Okay. I have a few reports this evening. The first is, well, Brett Bonfield's normally here, but he's not here tonight. Sorry to single him out, but I do want to commend the library for being rated as a 5-star library by the Library Journal, and this is the first time that Princeton Public Library has earned 5 stars, and my understanding it's based a lot on the attendance and usage, and like any rating system, people can grumble about it, but nonetheless, it is the highest rating, so I want to commend the library. We know it's a great library, and it has always had 5 stars in our minds, but it's nice to see the official recognition. And I just want to echo Councilwoman Howard's thanks of the library for pulling together the program last Thursday so quickly. It was a really wonderful opportunity for the community to get together and get some real information, even though it was on short notice, and I think it made everybody there feel good to be part of the Princeton community, which, again, is a service that the library provides beyond just being a great place to find good books. The second announcement is another good rating. The municipality received a AAA bond rating from both Moody's and S&P. And my understanding is that we're only one of 6 towns in the state to be rated AAA by both agencies. So it's not a small feat, and I want to thank Sandy Webb, members of CFAC, and the administration and council for the policies that we put in place and for the fiscal discipline that got us to that. So thank you. The third is, we'll hear more later tonight, but the Neighborhood Character and Zoning Initiative held 3 focus groups over the past week and a half or so, and the results of some of those conversations will be in the ordinance introduction tonight. I should have mentioned this under announcements, but if folks are around on Thanksgiving Day and they're in town, I highly recommend, there's a community Thanksgiving service. It's an interfaith service at the University Chapel, and many of the religious organizations participate. I'm going to be there reading Obama's final Thanksgiving proclamation, and there's great music, and it's a really wonderful service, and that's at 11 a.m. on Thanksgiving morning. And then finally, and I'll turn it over to Deanna for some more details on this, we had a meeting with the New Jersey DOT because we have finally had our work stoppage lifted. If you've been on Valley Road, you've noticed it's a smoother drive than it was last week. And also, they came to meet with us about the 206 bridges and the work that will soon be commencing there. So with that, I'll hand